My name is Forrest Gump. My friends all call me Forrest Gump. Sure is a pretty Christmas tree. I like Christmas. Every year I put a Christmas ornament on the Christmas tree for my mama. My mama went to heaven 5 years ago. Mama always told me life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I bet if I tried real hard, I could remember the first Christmas. My mama ran an inn. We lived in a big house outside the city of Bethlehem. Mama was always having people come over and stay. One year there was this man by the name of Caesar Augustus. He must have been poor or something because he needed more money. So he said everybody had to go to their hometown to be taxed. We had people coming to Bethlehem, from Capernaum, from Damascus, and from Crete. They were knocking on the door and saying, Mrs. Gump, do you have room for us to stay? Mama, she never liked to turn anybody away. She put people in the den, in the living room, in all the bedrooms. She could put somebody in my room and said I had to sleep in the back room. Well, when I was a little boy, I couldn't walk. The doctor said I had a spine as crooked as could be. So Mama would let me sit in the den as all the people came by knocking on the door. Eventually the house was full. Then there was this knock on the door and this man was there. He said his name was Joseph. And he was looking for a room for him and his wife. His wife was about to have a baby. Well, Mama said, there's no room, no room. And he said, please, Mrs. Gump, my wife Mary is going to have a special baby, and she's probably going to have it today. So Mama said he could stay in our barn in the backyard. It was a nice barn. We had sheep, goats, chickens, puppy dogs. We never had a baby in the barn before. Mama let that man Joseph and Mary stay out in the barn. Later that night, she had her baby. There was another knock at the door. Mama opened the door. These fellows must have been from New York or someplace because they were dressed funny and they said they were wise guys or something like that. And they were looking for the King of the Jews. Mama said we weren't the kings, we were the Gumps, but they insisted that there was a king born somewhere in our house. And then Mama remembered the baby in the barn, and those men started singing and rejoicing. They had all kinds of Christmas gifts that they had brought. They went to see the baby in the barn. A few minutes later, there was another knock at the door. Mama opened the door, and she said, it's shepherds. Mama said you can always tell when somebody's a shepherd because they smell like a goat. Well, these shepherds said they had seen an angel. And then the angel said that there was a baby that had been born who was Christ the Lord. And the angel said that they would find the baby living or lying in a manger, wrapped in pieces of cloth. Well, they were certain it was the baby in our barn. That night there were all kinds of people in the barn coming to see that special baby. Someone asked Joseph what he was going to call the baby. Joseph said that an angel told him in a dream that he would be called Jesus because he would save his people from their sin. Well, you know, for a long, long time I didn't hear anything else about that baby. I thought it was kind of funny that a baby who would be king would be born in a barn. He didn't look special. He didn't dress special. He was just like everybody else. A few years later, my very bestest friend in the whole wide world, her name was Jenny. Jenny grew up, and she must have worked with Christmas lights or something because Mama said she was in the red light district. She had this friend, Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene had met this man Jesus. And so Jenny went to hear Jesus speak one time, and she became very sad because she said she was a big sinner. Well, one night Jesus was having dinner at this man's house, and my friend Jenny went to see him. She was so sad that she couldn't speak, and so she fell at his feet and she began to cry. And she kept kissing his feet and kissing him and crying and crying. She was wiping his feet with her hair. And Jesus looked at her and he said, "Your sins are forgiven." When Jenny said she never felt so good in all of her life, she didn't know what to say. The man at the house wasn't very happy, though. I guess maybe he wanted Jenny to kiss her feet, his feet too. And Jesus explained to him that night Jenny had been forgiven and she had become a child of God. Well, Jenny kept wanting me to meet this Jesus, but because I couldn't walk, it was hard for me to go see anybody. Every day, my best friend Bubba, he would take me to this special place there in Jerusalem called the Pool of Siloam. We would sit there and we would watch the water. People said that every day an angel would come and touch the water, and if you could get into the water first, you would be able to walk. I never got into the water first. Somebody always got there before I did. Well, one day, that man Jesus came by to see me, and I was there by the pool. And Jesus said, "Do you want to be made well?" I thought that was a silly question. But I explained to Jesus that I couldn't get into the water first. And you know what Jesus said to me? He said, "Stand up." I had never been able to stand up before, but because Jesus told me to stand up, I stood up. I looked, and I couldn't believe it. And Jesus said, "Walk." And I started walking. And I said, Bubba, I can stand up. Bubba, I can walk." My friend Jenny was there. And you know what she said? She said, "Run, Forrest, run!" And I started running everywhere and telling everybody that Jesus had made me well. Well, I ran into these Pharisees down by the temple. And they said, "Stop running." They didn't like it when people ran into the temple. But I tried to explain to them. Jesus had made me well. And I wanted everybody to know about Jesus. Funny thing happened after I could walk. I got this letter from the government, and they were inviting me to join their army. They wanted me to be a Roman soldier. Well, I joined the army and went to live in the palace of a man named Pilate. I had this real nice officer who took care of me. His name was Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan and I had the responsibility of watching Pilate, making sure nobody threw anything at Pilate, making sure nobody tried to poison Pilate, making sure nobody tried to stab Pilate. You know, when I think about it, Pilate must not have been a very popular person there. Well, one day that man Jesus came to the palace where Pilate was living. He must have done something awful bad. All the people were crying, "Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him!" You know what Pilate did? Pilate said he couldn't find anything wrong, so he washed his hands. I guess he was getting ready to eat supper or something. But then they took Jesus outside that city, and they nailed him to a cross. Lieutenant Dan and I were supposed to stand guard. We watched and we listened. I heard Jesus say, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Then later, Jesus bowed his head and he said, "It is finished." When I asked Lieutenant Dan what Jesus had done, Lieutenant Dan said, Jesus was innocent. Lieutenant Dan looked at Jesus on the cross, and Lieutenant Dan said, surely this man must have been the Son of God. Well, there were some people that came and they took Jesus and they put him in this borrowed tomb. And then some of those Pharisees that didn't like Jesus, they came and they spoke to Pilate and they said, somebody may try to steal the body. So Pilate had Lieutenant Dan and I and a few other soldiers stand in front of that tomb. We stood guard and stood guard and stood guard all day and all night. We stayed there till Sunday. Then something funny happened on Sunday. There wasn't a storm or anything, but the earth began to shake, and thunder began to rumble, and the big rock that we had in front of the tomb rolled away. Lieutenant Dan looked inside, and there was nobody there. We went and told Pilate, and Pilate went and told the Pharisees, and they said to Lieutenant Dan that we were supposed to tell everybody that we had fallen asleep, and somebody had come and stolen the body of that man named Jesus. Lieutenant Dan said that was stupid, because no Roman soldier would ever fall asleep. I told Lieutenant Dan, my mama always said, stupid is and stupid does. You know what I believe happened? I believe that man Jesus rose from the grave. My mama went to heaven to be with him. Mama always said that dying was a part of living. I wish it wasn't so. But Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. Even if a man were to die, yet shall he live again. Those who believe in me will never die. That's why I decided to believe in Jesus. You know, I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. The Bible said, God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whosoever believed in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I trusted Jesus. That's why I'm so happy on this Christmas day, because I know what Christmas is all about. Well, that's all I've got to say about that. It's time for me to go to my friend Bubba's house, where I have a shrimp cocktail, or boiled shrimp, fried shrimp, or shrimp casserole, or some kind of shrimp. His mama knows how to cook a lot of shrimp.